I'm Gregory Sweet, and this is Skagit Talks. My special guest today is Jim J.T. Taylor, who is the Executive Director of Skagit Trail Builders. And we're going to talk to him today about their organization, what they are doing, and how you can become a part of it. Jim, welcome to Skagit Talks.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you, I met some of your group at a presentation for Northern State Regional Hospital celebrating the 50th anniversary of the closing a couple weeks ago. And I thought this would be a great opportunity because I know you're doing a tremendous amount of volunteer work out there to not only improve but make new trails in the Northern State Hospital area. But with my conversation with Brian Adams of the Skagit Parks and Recreation group, he told me that they were working with you very closely. I wanted to find out how all of this is intertwined with your organization.
Well, it's a wonderful opportunity. Cedro Woolley is a great community, and Brian reached out to us as our work at Little Mountain Park in Mount Vernon was coming to an end. And that was about in 2015 that we started talking about work. And it takes a few years to put a program together and get the approvals and everything. And so we began work in Cedro Woolley, doing our walking of the resource and figuring things out to put a trail plan together. And in 2016, that was about the time that they took it to the community, got their necessary community involved to make certain that everybody approved of what we were hoping to do together. And it takes a few years. And so we started work out there in 2018, working with wildland firefighting crews and things like that to do some rough out. And in 2016, we started our volunteer sessions out there building trails.
And my understanding is that you do work on wherever Skagit trails can be of use. I know in your mission statement it talks about the fact that you use multi-use trails in Skagit County for all kinds of users. And I know you have several partners that you're working with in this, not just Skagit Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, in Cedro Woolley, it was a unique opportunity. We have a number of partners. One of them is United General Hospital, District 304, which is our nonprofit partner. The city of Cedro Woolley is a partner. The Port of Skagit is a partner. Skagit County Parks and Rec, they're the main ones that started the program out, but we all work together collaboratively in order to make this happen.
And Jim, are you working on multiple different trails in different parks for Skagit County?
Well, we're working on the one project, which is the uh, Northern State Recreation Trails Project, but that crosses three different properties, the port property, the city property, and Skagit County property. They're all there adjacent to one another, and so the trails that we're building link the three resources.
I see. I didn't realize that. I thought you were dealing just primarily with the port and with uh, Skagit County Parks and Recreations. That's an amazing. That's good coordination that you put together on that particular project. I also saw that you are getting ready on September the 9th to begin work again out there.
Yeah, that's the continuation of the work that we've been doing on a trail that's called the Hill Creek Trail. And it's about a mile long so far. It leads on out to a large rock that we call the North Knoll. And so that was the destination point for the summer, in hopes that we had a nice destination for people going on out and walking and riding. And so that worked out well. We hit our goal there. And so work will continue starting on September 9th, doing a loop out there past that knoll. And eventually, we hear now that the county's on board. We had proposed the building of a bridge that would link the first trail that we built that was on the east side of Hill Creek. That's called the Pump House Trail. It's a mile long, but where the two trails, they go on opposite sides of Hill Creek. When they get out that mile long distance out there, we plan to now connect those two trails with a third bridge that we will build out there on the project, and that'll turn that into a 2-mile trail loop.
It's incredible.
It's not.
You're listening to Skagit Talks. I'm Gregory Sweet, and my special guest today is Jim Taylor, who is the Executive Director of Skagit Trail Builders. And one thing I want to point out, Jim, is your website. It's an exceptional website. It's skagittrailbuilders.org. And one other thing that I wanted to ask you is that the people who are listening to our broadcast, how can they become a member, a volunteer? Because I know it's 100% volunteer with your organization. How can they become a partner or deal with you, join your organization?
Simply reach out to us. We accommodate all ages and levels of activity. Some people have thought that they might not be able to contribute, but there's always a way to help. Even people that have some level of limitation with respect to lifting and working. Some think that you have to be a strong, scrapping person that can swing an axe. Well, not necessarily. An awful lot of the work that we do is just methodically working away at a controlled pace, doing activities that are no more strenuous than just some around the house yard work. We work together as a team. We take breaks. We have a nice lunch together, and just going to our website is the best way to do it. And then just signing up. We register volunteers by sessions because there's an awful lot of planning to what we do, and so it's really helpful to have an active roster of who's going to come to a session.
And that way you can split it up for the people that are available on certain dates and not available on others.
Exactly.
Good. You mentioned something when that clicked with me when you mentioned about able-bodied people to help you. Are any of the trails that you're working on also improved for the handicap and people with disabilities?
There on the resource, there is an ADA trail out there on Skagit County Parks and Rec property. We're not doing work on that one, but there is one out there at the park.
Good.
We have built trails that were near ADA, but we didn't have the resources to come up with the required ADA parking and required ADA bathrooms in order to make it a fully ADA trail. But we built our trail in the past to an ADA standard in hopes that in time the resources would come together to make it a fully approved ADA trail.
That's great planning, and it's wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. One other park that I wanted to, or not actually a park, but I wanted to ask you about it. I have been on the Centennial Trail in Snohomish County, and I know there was talk several years ago about extending that Burlington Northern abandoned trail line up into Skagit County, but I haven't been able to find any information about that. Are you aware of any plans to do anything with that, extending it up into Skagit County?
I've been a part of work groups for the last 20 years, and talks on that subject have never ended. But it's a big project, a major undertaking, and it'll take decades to achieve. But slowly but surely, we're having success in varying ways. Back a couple of years ago, during the height of the pandemic, Skagit County was able to secure a property on Highway 9 that's valuable in light of that goal. And so those kind of things happen over time. And even over the last 6 months, there had been discussion, our group working with another work group, talking with Cedro Woolley, kind of planning in that way, but it's a heavy lift. It takes time.
I'm sure it does. And the work of a lot of different people and agencies all coming together. That's always a coordination effort, to say the
Yeah.
least. Yeah. Let's once again, I want to point out your website because it's fantastic, and anyone who is interested in becoming a volunteer for Skagit Trail Builders can go directly. There's a form right on their site that's quite comprehensive that you can use, but quite easy. And it's skagittrailbuilders.org, and that will tell you everything you need to know about how to become a part of their all volunteer organization. Other projects in the works coming up, Jim, that you've got besides Northern State?
Well, we've got probably a year and a half or 2 years of work out there. The work that we do, because of the resource out there, is pretty time consuming. We built through an area that was very flood prone, so we had to bring in and place 250,000 pounds of rock in order to build an elevated walkway. So it would be a four seasons trail. And we believe passionately that whatever we build needs to be not only sustainable, but usable year round. And so our project started out a little slow because that took time. But after we made it through that wet area, then the pace really picked up. So we've got that loop that we're going to be building out there. When we start on the bridge, that's going to take a while because we have to pour the cement footings on both sides of the creek and then put the bridge in. So that'll probably be at least a 6-month project. And it's just an exciting opportunity. It's a wonderful resource, but there's nothing easy about the building out there.
That's the hard part, isn't it? Well, that and probably securing the funding for the materials that needs to be obtained, whether that be from private sources or from the county or wherever that comes from.
Yeah, it's a combination of things. And having the community support it just in words has an awful lot of value in making certain that the funding is more likely. The county commissioners, all of the powers that be need to know that these kind of projects are important in order to keep the funding in place.
Excellent. What a great organization, Jim. I'm sure you're having a lot of fun kind of directing this whole group together.
Well, it's wonderful. I've been doing volunteer work for 30 years, and from coordination standpoint, and about 10 years ago, actually it was more than 10, it'd be 12 years ago, I met a person that was going to become my wife as a volunteer. And so we built a bridge together, and then we got married on it.
That's a fantastic story. I like that. Jim, thank you so much for joining me here today on Skagit Talks.
Thank you.
I'm Gregory Sweet, and this is Skagit Talks.